Once again, people, um, all of these videos are my own personal investigation. That's all it really is. I've mentioned before, uh, facts can literally trigger people. I don't care if they never cared about me or any other workplace individual that they may have gotten rid of or fired or whatever. If they never cared then, don't care now. That, again, that's my motto. This is an investigation, and again, a complete and full investigation, not a cherry picking investigation like HR tends to do no matter where you work at. Um, and again, just read my disclaimer. It's very clear. Uh, it's very, again, very, very clear. Today, I just wanted to talk about a little bit. I probably mentioned it previously in at a lower levels, but it's just interesting to me. Again, how how pathetic the American federal system has become a tool for ideology, a tool for stupidity even. And here's the reason why. Again, this is how I see things. And I see them based on reality. This is not emotion, this is not fantasy, it's not conspiracy theory. Recently, recently it came out the John F. K. JFK files, or more of those files came out. Of course, I don't think all of it came out. There's probably still more to come out. But it's ironic how our federal government, after what, 60, almost 70 years, do you see how selectively stupid the federal government is when it comes to investigating the unfortunate demise of John F. Kennedy? Do you see how conveniently incompetent they decided 60 years ago, 60, 70 years ago, when it came again, when it came to the destruction of a fairly decent leader of a nation? Again, this is the federal government in general. Why 60 something years later, still some of it is coming out? You know, this is the chaos that exists in my mind. Because again, I worked for the federal government for 13 years. I've seen many people get fired for the stupidest things at times. Uh, at least compared to John F. Kennedy's removal, yeah, stupidity. But that's where, again, the federal government is very competent when it comes to removing tiny specks of insignificant individuals like myself. Because again, I'm not a great leader, I'm not a great anything. I'm nothing. Just like many of those that got lost their jobs. We're all nothing. But the big fish, the really big fish, the really big and serious investigations, oh, there everybody's incompetent. Everybody there is stupid. Nobody knows. There's no documentation. Because again, people, listen. Listen to your basic common sense. Listen to to the basic common sense. I was shown documents at U.S. District Court of Puerto Rico here in the federal system of comments that I made. Okay, they were not the most decorative comments. These were comments between me and, like you guys already know, Mr. Lopez. Hey, why weren't those files put away for 60 years, 70 years? And maybe 70 years later, you can find out how I, what, had an opinion? Had an unpopular opinion? Really? Why didn't they do that for me? Why didn't they do that for Martin? Why didn't they do that for Rodriguez or Miro or all these other people? Rivera, remember Rivera? I don't know if you guys remember Rivera, the big tall guy. He was terminated because he had an affair with a client. Yeah, that's wrong there. To have an affair with a client is wrong, but to have an affair with a coworker, a married coworker, that's okay. Do you see the do you see the moral inconsistency here? I know I touched that a bit in the past. The point is, we can cover up things selectively at the federal government in all three branches of the federal government. We can do it. We've been doing it for the Kennedys all this time. I'm pretty sure the same thing happened with Robert Kennedy. Cover up because that truth cannot come out because these are big names. These are big, big, big things that will actually make the government look bad. Oh, yeah, that's the thing. You cover up your satanic sins. You cover up your disgust, your federal disgust. Let's just get rid of the little people, just to give an image that we are moral, just to give an image that we actually care for justice and we care um, for true investigation, just to make believe, because that's what we're all about, really. But let's move on from the Kennedy situation. Do you guys remember the Iran Contra scandal in the 80s? I remember. I was a teenager then. That was a cover up by the federal government. It came out accidentally, but it was an accident. But for a while, it was covered up. Again, federal government are competent when they want to be competent. And then they're assholes, which is, what they are mostly, competent of being assholes when it comes to the little people. Let's go even further back. The According to history, our American federal military government knew that Pearl Harbor was going to be attacked. They knew it, but they let it happen. Why? Because they wanted to push America into World War II. Again, these things came out many years later, thanks to independent, true investigators, and in many cases, declassified documentation. But again, we're good at covering things up. The federal government is good at covering its sins, its horrendous sins. But they have to always, every once in a while, fire or get rid of a tiny little speck of nobody just to make believe that they're moral. So that people have faith in their disgusting existence. You know? Like the Bay of Tonkin incident. Do people remember that? The Bay of Tonkin incident? To get us into Vietnam, I believe it was. Another huge lie. Again, the federal government is good at hiding their gross, disgusting, big, again, big sins and big bad behavior. What about the USS Liberty? See, I'm pretty sure nobody has heard of this one. I'm pretty sure of that. There are still veterans today alive, that still want justice for what happened to the USS Liberty. And it was very clear, very transparent, a lot of a lot of documentation behind it, a lot of witnesses behind it. But what did the shithole of the federal government do? They still cover it up. That's your federal government for you. All three branches are the same. Again, look it up, people. Become aware. Become aware of the lies, of the hypocrisy, of the disgustingness that the federal government is. That's a common behavior in their investigations. They cover up what makes them look bad. But every once in a while, they have to get rid of the little fish just to give face, just to give the image that they actually represent justice and good and patriotic goodness, whatever, however you want to picture it. Look at look at what has happened recently with the Epstein issue. I think I've touched this in the past recently too. It's been a while since that little black book, what they call the little black book, I don't know if it's black or not, with all those names. Hmm. What happened to that investigation? I would like to ask Judge Arias, hey, are you interested in that investigation? Are you interested in finding out what actually is happening there? Of course, you're going to say, well, that's outside my jurisdiction because you don't care. You're a coward. You don't care. That's too big for you. So big that you know that if you even try to consult the judges that are behind this or those entities that are behind this, you might you might get in trouble. Let's just put it that way. But again, this is the federal government for you. That little black book with all those big names, which probably even include federal judges, yeah, we can't investigate that. No, 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 no. We're not competent there. We're stupid. We're idiots there. So all those people in that, again, if it's in their control, if it's in their hands, in the federal government's hand, which that's what the understanding is, at least through the news media. Why hasn't anybody, any prince from Europe or any great politician in the United States, been put in prison for bad behavior with minors? Why? Why? Hmm. Interesting. How investigations for the big fish seem to get swept under the rug. But the little tiny fish, oh no, you can't be here. That's inappropriate. Your comments are just too horrendous. Yet, those that appoint you as judges, their history is very disgusting, and they are probably in that little book that Epstein left behind. But we become stupid there. See, we become ignorant. We become incompetent. So yes, the federal government eats crap for from the highest levels especially, and then at the lower levels, that's when they all of a sudden remember what the process of investigation is really all about. Again, that's a decision. That's by choice that we become competent when it's convenient, but when it's inconvenient, no, we can't. We can't. No, no, no. That's too big. That's too much. That's the anus government that we have at the federal level, all three branches. Right now, what's happening in Gaza? What's happening in Gaza in real time? Reporters from all over the world that go there, they end up buried 6 feet under because that ally of ours, they just, sniper them out of existence. And where is the competence of the federal government to call this a war crime? Not just to the reporters, but the people of Gaza. Crickets. That's all you hear because that's the federal government for you people. They are stupid. They are ignorant when it is convenient for them to be ignorant because they know the truth. They know the truth. They know facts. But those facts are so horrendous that they have to departmentalize that. Oh no, that's a different jurisdiction that usually takes this amount of time, that usually, requires this and requires that, and blah 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 blah. And they talk away their evils. They talk away their horrendousness, their war crimes, their true hatred towards other people. Over here we have a lot of DEI. Over here we have a lot of inclusiveness. Over here we have a lot of tolerance, but we don't do that internationally. We destroy complete nations because again, domestically we're very vanillally Christian. But when it comes to international, we have to destroy this country because they're different. Because they wear something different on top of their heads and they have long beards and their way of life is inappropriate. Again, our federal system is the biggest hypocrite that I've seen in human history. Uh, it's the asshole culture that dominates. That's what it really is. That's why again, I have a beef with this. At the place I was working for many years, I always felt somewhat guilty. I always felt poisoned inside. I always felt miserable because I knew all these things. I knew all these things even before I was terminated. And guess what? I probably should just left years ago. But hey, it's not easy to get such a good salary elsewhere. But I should have forgotten about that. I really should. The point once again, people, the point once again is that the federal government, they are just a bunch of idiots. They are competent when they want to be competent, and they are incompetent when they have to conveniently be incompetent. That's a form of cowardness. You're not a true patriot. You're not. And it's weird because a lot of these people are appointed, they raise their hand to uphold many moral values based on the Constitution primarily, but they don't do that at all. They're lying to themselves and they lie to the American people. So again, where are you guys? Where are these investigators for the really big issues, for the really big fish? Oh, they can't do it there. They can't do it there because if they do, they might have they might be involved themselves. See, that's the point. So again, going back to the Epstein files or the Epstein book, Black Book, how many years are going to go by? What, 60, just like the Kennedy files? 70? Wow. I'm proud of the U.S. District Court here in Puerto Rico because they are part of this entity. They might not be directly involved with this investigation, but you're still part of that machine. And that's who you are. And I know it based on my experience. Because even there, like I've mentioned before in my other videos, a lot of people there have done so much worse, but you cover it up. A lot of females there do gross, hanky panky related behavior, and you cover it up. Wow. It's the same thing. It's just that it's not John F. Kennedy, but it might be just John Doe from down the street. Yeah, right there we have to investigate thoroughly. And every piece of evidence is very detrimental to this case. And that's where everybody becomes a high IQ judge and an HR member or attorney, etc. Oh, but no, here now we're kind of stupid. Hey, let's go. What are we gonna have for lunch today? People, the hypocrisy is horrendous, and you guys know it. Deep down inside, you all know it, including the judge. You guys know it. You guys know it. But it's easier to be an asshole than to be a true just HR member or a true just clerk or a true just judge, entity, etc. Chief, deputy chief, whatever. It's just easier to be an asshole and to just sweep it under the rug. Now again, this is my investigation. HR inspired me to do these investigations. And these investigations, as you already know, are my recollections based on things that I've seen, based on things that I've heard with my own ears, and based on things that were told to me by very reputable individuals like HR, like Evelyn, for example, like Gladys, for example, and others that I won't mention. The point is again, you know, we're good. The federal government, we're good at covering up. We're good at covering up. We have a history of it. So, don't believe me. Believe their history. Believe history. Believe history. Don't believe me. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. But look at their history, and their history will tell you who they are, what they are. And they're not moral entities. It's a fake kangaroo court system that's there primarily to maintain the powers that be and keep in check the little fish that barely have anything to their name. Wow. Yeah, if I were the parent of these people, I would be very proud knowing all this, of course, because most parents don't know this. Most parents could barely know how to read and write, unfortunately, here in Puerto Rico especially. But again, that's my point for today. And I know I've mentioned this before, but I wanted to hit it a little harder this time. They deliberately target wherever it's convenient to look good, but the bigger fish, no, you have to let that one go. That's just too much. If the people found out, there would be revolution in Puerto Rico or in Washington, etc. That's why they play stupid when it's important to play stupid. That's why those Epstein files will never really come out. Those Epstein, they might come out with some names, but the majority, the bigger names, they won't. Why? Because they fear the people, the power of the people. They fear the truth, the bigger truth. But they have to make believe every once in a while that they represent justice. Again, make believe. And that's the world we live in. It's fake. It's false. But somehow they can manage to go to bed at night with all that crap that they have in their head and in their soul. And that tells you what kind of people they really are deep down inside. Isn't that sad? Isn't that really sad? Well, till next time.